David Schumacher said opportunities do not come in real estate if you stop buying. You're not going to find an opportunity if you stop buying. Well, sometimes you need a little financing, and that's when you call Rhonda Johnson with Cornerstone Home Lending at 252-5682 or online, rhondajohnson.net. Rhonda, talk to me about rates. Where are we at?
Hey, Chris. Hey, they're looking really great today, actually. We're seeing a little bit of a dip in the rates. Hopefully we're going to see them holding nice and low and steady here until the election, so this is absolutely the time to get in on it.
And when you say the rates are nice and low, that's for refinance or purchase, right? I mean, we're talking the same barrel of money.
Yeah. There's, of course, there's like 26 different factors that affect your interest rate. However, for both purchases and refinances, we're looking at the upper threes right now today, so they're in great shape.
I wanted to talk to you today about, I wanted to break down debt to income. What is this debt? Because we hear about these ratios, back-end ratios and this and that. I wanted to break it down, put it in simple terms that even I can understand. And you wanted to talk about the do's and don'ts of what to do while you're in the middle of buying or refinancing. I think we can accomplish both. So let's start with your end of this puzzle and just say, all right, Rhonda, we've made application for the mortgage. We've got the processes going. And you've checked my credit, you've checked my income, you've given me the golden green thumbs up. What should I not do while we're in this process prior to closing?
Right. So a couple of notes that I have down is, Chris, when they make an offer on a home, then they're going to pay an earnest money deposit to give the sellers that assurance once they take that home off the market. And we want to make sure that that earnest money is actually written on a check out of your own personal bank account. And the other thing is that we'll get a bank statement for the 30 days before you write that check and then the 30 days after to show that check cleared. And they're looking for to make sure that that was your money, that you did put it down, and that it did clear the bank so that we can give you credit for it at closing. So be really mindful of where that initial deposit comes when you write the offer on the home.
Okay, well, just a second. I'm glad you said that because I bumped into a guy in the grocery store the other day, and he said they want a copy of my earnest money check, and they want to know that it's my money. What do they care? What business is it of theirs? And I said, I think, Rhonda, tell me if I'm right, that you need to ensure, you the lender needs to ensure that it's not borrowed money and that there's going to be a payment to make later, right?
Right. That's absolutely one of those questions, is that it is your money, that you don't have another debt to pay back that could affect those ratios we're going to talk about, and that you actually really did pay it so that we can give you that credit at closing and it can be applied towards your down payment or your closing costs.
And don't worry, I'm going to give you plenty of time to talk about what you want to talk about, but I want to just delve right into then gift letter. If I've got a gift from, say, my folks or a gift from an aunt or uncle or friend, why do I need a gift letter? Isn't it enough just that I've got the money in hand? What's the difference?
Right. And again, it's one more thing that they want to make sure of, that you don't have another debt to pay back that could affect your ability to make your mortgage payment. Because the last thing that we want is to put you in too much debt that it becomes a struggle or that you're not successful as a homeowner. So if I borrow money from mom and dad and aunt and uncle just to come up with a down payment or closing costs, but I have to pay them back somewhere along the side and make my mortgage payment and my utilities and move and all of that stuff, then it could become too difficult to manage all of that. So we just want to be aware of where those funds came from. And if it truly is a gift, then we want them to tell us that it truly is a gift.
So we verified the down payment. We verified the earnest money, that it is actually coming out of our own personal account. What should we not do then once the offer is accepted and we begin to move forward through this process? What's another don't?
So a couple of things that you want to make sure of is that you stay on your same job, work your same hours, keep your same pay, and that you not put anything else in those bank accounts besides your paychecks unless you know you can document where that money came from. Unfortunately, in the lending world, cash is really bad because we can't document where it came from, and that's really sad, but it is the way it is. So you want to let your loan officer know if you've gotten any increased hours, don't take any unpaid time off, or work overtime. Those are all things that could affect your ability to qualify for the loan. And I know that working overtime sounds silly, but sometimes we're working with the income-sensitive loans. And that extra overtime might kick you out of that program.
Right.
So we want to keep everything as stable and steady as possible. If there's any raises or promotions, I actually had a client a while back that got transferred to a completely different community, yet they were buying a home in this community. And so those job transfers, those kinds of things can all put a big stop to your process on your loan. So keep your employment the same and keep your credit the same. You want to make sure that you're still making your rent payments on time, pay all of your credit cards and auto loans and student loans on time. And you can keep using your credit cards as you normally would, but please do not take any cash advances on those credit cards because that's unsecured loans that would need to be used against you. And don't increase those balances excessively, because if for any reason we need to update the credit report, that will have a huge impact on your actual credit score and could really make a mess on your rates and your loan approval. Don't even apply for new credit. Even if you try to get a new cell phone, then there's going to be an inquiry on your credit report, and we're going to ask you, did you get any new debt from that inquiry? So to keep everything as stable and steady as possible. Keep your bank accounts open. Don't change them. Don't get new bank accounts. And then make sure that you're letting your loan officer know if you're going to be out of town, because we may need to make arrangements to either send documents to you or perhaps get a power of attorney, but there are some real specific rules regarding that as well. And then one of the other things I like to say is to make sure that you ask questions. And your loan officer should be able to explain the answers to you in terms that you can understand. And if they don't, keep asking the questions so that you understand. This is a huge purchase. This is a huge event in your life. We want to make sure that you're really comfortable with it and that you understand. Do not be afraid to ask those questions.
You mentioned rent, keep paying your rent. Is there ever a time that the mortgage company or underwriters or anybody processing this loan is going to contact your landlord? And for what? Yeah,
they could. They will definitely contact the landlord up front in a lot of loan types, not all, but a lot of them. So the landlord will be a very good credit reference for you, because how you pay your rent payments is going to be a big indicator of how you're going to make that mortgage payment. But I did have one that the landlord called up just prior to closing saying, hey, by the way, did you know that you're putting this borrower into a home and they haven't paid me my last 2 months' rent? And that, again, of course, created this big challenge, because what's going to happen if you run into a financial challenge with your mortgage payment? This is a long-term commitment. It's a big commitment.
Well, let's find out the answer to and the end of that little story when we return here to the final concluding moments of Mortgage Moment on Radio Realty. Stand by. Chris Story here with Radio Realty. What my mom calls the greatest show on earth. Rhonda Johnson's with me for our Mortgage Moment, brought to you by Cornerstone Home Lending. You can find Rhonda online at rhondajohnson.net. We're talking about do's and don'ts, and we're talking about the impact of how you can adversely impact your ability to get a mortgage. Rhonda was explaining how a landlord had called up at the last possible moment and said, hey, your buyer owes me 2 months' rent. Rhonda, what happened?
Well, so the reason behind that was that the borrower needed to have some additional money for closing, so they just felt that if they didn't pay their landlord, they'd be able to save that money and purchase the home. So we ultimately ended up needing to satisfy the landlord and make those 2 months payments and delay the closing a little bit so that the borrower could come up with the additional money. So, of course, everybody knows then the sellers put out, the buyers put out, and the landlords put out. Everybody is put out with having to delay that closing. So just keep your lender involved, keep your lender informed, keep a really close eye on your email, because that's going to be a lot of the communication is by email, and a lot of, docu-signing and requests for updated information. So keep an eye on that, provide the documentation really quickly, and provide complete documentation. The first 2 pages of the tax returns don't work. We need complete tax returns. And even if that last page of your bank statement is blank, please provide it, because at the top it says page 105. We actually need that 5th page.
That's just weird. But okay, we'll do it, Rhonda. We'll do it. Whatever you say. All right, let's talk a little bit about...
Don't argue with your loan officer either.
Oh, that's the other thing. That's right. Okay, so rental costs in New York City, you're not going to believe this. Rental costs can be up to 77% of the average employee's monthly income. Wow, it's radical. The average employee in New York City makes $47,000 with a rent of $3,000. That's 77% of their income. No way you're going to get a mortgage beyond what percentage of your income?
Right. So we want to make sure that we're not spending more than about 30% of your gross monthly income to go towards your monthly mortgage payment. And we use the gross income, Chris, because we want to make sure that if we're not spending more than 30% of it for your house payment, you have 70% of that monthly income left to pay your taxes, your insurance, your groceries, your utilities. The other part of that back end ratio is your new house payment plus any of your other monthly scheduled debts, your car payments, your credit cards, your student loans. All of those combined shouldn't exceed about 40% of your monthly income. And that way, again, we know that you have over 60% of your income left to cover all those regular day-to-day debts that you have to deal with.
Oh, I get it.
A lot of people forget about is that things like child support and things that don't actually show up on your credit report. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they come out of your paycheck and they don't think of them as a debt, but really that does need to be added in. So make sure you let your lender know about those kinds of debts as well.
So basically, I get it. See, the front end, back end ratios, I get it. Now, front end is essentially just your base. Your gross salary cannot exceed, your mortgage payment, including principal, interest, tax, insurance, cannot exceed, you said, about 33% at the max. And then on the other side of that is, now we're going to add in everything else you owe, and it can't exceed. Did you say 40 or 45%?
40% is kind of the
standard,
the average that we want to see. Mm-hmm.
Rhonda, you make it easy. You make it easy to understand and easy to get your hands on big bags of cash. RhondaJohnson.net, Cornerstone Home Lending, Anchorage, Soldotna, Homer, and the Valley. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Have a great afternoon. Go loan some money.
Thanks, Chris. Have a great day.
All right, we'll be talking to you soon. You can talk to her now at 252-5682. When we return, we're going to be talking with Eric Watkins about the prosperity mindset. We'll answer our AJ's Old Town Steakhouse Real Trivia Contest and how you can prosper in any market, anywhere, anytime by thinking and growing rich. All that and more coming up here on Radio Realty.